Why can't they just stay here?
We don't have enough beds for them. There's more hands being held out than hands paying tithes. We can barely afford this.
What about help from the city?
We tried that. City Hall's got no interest in us here.
For weeks, dozens of witnesses told the stories of our lives, our families, and our struggle under oath.
Do you know that a majority of courts, as well as a majority of Americans, have ruled there is no right to same-sex marriage?
But when their turn came, they called only 2 witnesses and only 1 expert on marriage.
Well, it's not that they didn't want expert witnesses of their own here. They had half a dozen lined up, but almost all of them backed out after their sworn depositions. You see, it's easy to make statements to the press, but when you have to defend those opinions under oath, their arguments fell apart. And all they have left is 1 expert.
Mr. Blankenhorn, what is the primary purpose of marriage?
Well, the anthropologist Strauss once described marriage as a social institution with a biological foundation. We reproduce sexually.
Oh, Maggie made it.
And there is only one institution that brings together all these dimensions, and that would be the institution of marriage, because we know how important this is for the children.
Your Honor, no further questions. Thank you.
Mr. Blankenhorn, have any of the scholars you've relied on said that permitting same-sex marriage will cause a reduction in heterosexual marriage? That is a yes, no, or I don't know?
I believe that some of the scholars that I have cited have asserted that permitting same-sex marriage would contribute to the deinstitutionalization of marriage. One of the manifestations of that would be to lower the marriage rate among heterosexuals. But I do not have sure knowledge that in the form of the words that you're asking me to use, that they would have made the assertion that permitting same-sex marriage would definitely, directly lower the marriage rate among heterosexual couples.
If I were to interpret that as an I don't know?
Your Honor, and if I can restate it for you.
The record is clear.
There are eminent scholars that have argued.
Sir, on page 300, you said you're basing your analysis.
This, I see. This is the gotcha moment, right? Because I said the word transmitter at your deposition.
Let me have a look at your own words. Quote, I assure you these are not my own conclusions. I am a transmitter of these eminent scholars, end quote. Mr. Blankenhorn, do you believe that permitting gay and lesbian couples to marry would improve the well-being of those gays and lesbians and the children they're raising? And I'm asking for your conclusions, not other scholars.